Good evening, family. Hope you guys are doing well, and or good day or good afternoon whenever you're watching this video. I'm just gonna give people just a few minutes to join on. This was an unexpected video, that I'm doing right now. Unexpected broadcast, but I wanted to. As I was watching this broadcast, I mean, I was just like, man, I gotta get as many eyes to watch this broadcast because what they're sharing in this video is just way too important. And then when I go live, um one of the main reasons why I go live a lot, particularly on this platform, is because that's where you get the maximum amount of engagement from people. And because like many of us will say, okay, I'm gonna watch a video, and you may skip through it, right? We all do that, including me. Including me. So I'm not, you definitely ain't the only one. I do it too. But when you go live, people more have a tendency more to watch the whole thing. Okay. So that's why I tend to go live, a lot on this platform. But anyway, first things first, tonight at 8 p.m. We will be going live, but we will not be live here on YouTube. We will be live over on my BondTube. Typically, we do our Saba teaching on Saturdays, but tomorrow we're not going to be available, at least not during the day. It will be, so nothing's going to happen, at least on our end, tomorrow during the day. But we will be doing something in the evening, and I'll get to that in a moment. But so tonight we will be doing our Saba teaching over on my BondTube, and you are more than welcome to check us out this evening. Okay, all are welcome. You're more than welcome to check us out over on mybondtube.com. That will be 8 p.m., less than an hour away from now, over on that platform. Okay. Tomorrow evening, we'll be having a very, very important discussion that will be here on YouTube. That discussion will be something that as many people as possible, we need to be a part of that. And we're going to be really diving into not just an issue or problem that we have amongst our people, but we're going to provide some right now tangible solutions to that issue. And I think it's going to be something that many of you are going to greatly appreciate. I'll just put it that way. Okay, so that will be tomorrow evening. Let's say for now around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll give you the exact time of that tomorrow. Okay, but let's just say for now it'll be around 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. That's going to be a very important discussion. We'll be having that on YouTube. It won't be on the other platforms. Okay. All right. Good. All right. So tonight in this particular broadcast, this video that I'm about to stream is only a half an hour long. I'm going to more or less let the video speak for itself. This video is actually it was a two-part video, and I just compressed it into one. It's from a woman. She's no longer with us. She's passed away. Her name was Mahalia Goodman. And we've talked about her before. She has a book when she talks about her experience being over in Dimona, Israel. As you know, that there was a rather significant group of Black Americans that moved over from here to the United States over to Dimona, Israel, and they started a community over there. And she was part of that. And she has an entire book where she talks about her experience and what she's going through and all of that stuff, right? And if you read her book, it's like anything. It starts off very good. The initial contact is always, pleasant, and things click and all of this other stuff, right? But then as time goes on, your eyes begin to get open. And for some people, they get open way too late. And it's unfortunate. But as I was listening to this video, I was like, man, I see a lot of these things today. And even now, beyond Dimona. So as you're listening, she's talking about her experience over in Dimona. But these same things that they're going to go through are things that we can see even today. These different characteristics that they're going to talk about. So So make sure as you're listening to this, you're listening to it with that mind. Dimona, another thing is something that I will say this, a lot of Hebrews like to glorify that, particularly Hebrews who've never been there, and like to glorify it and say, oh man, these people, they really did it. They established a community of Hebrews. They're doing it. But we want to make sure that we're hearing all the stories. That's very important. I mean, for anything, you want to make sure you're hearing all of it. So I'm not going to say, just to start off this video, that her experience is the sum total of the entire thing of what's going on there. Okay. I personally have never been there, but I will say this. If you go to her channel, she does have other people who do co-sign or also share their experiences as well. And unfortunately, it is very much a cult, and you guys may have seen some of the members here on YouTube. Those are the guys that, say that Israel is, the true location of Israel is where it is today, or what they call the state of Israel. And then they point to the kingdom of David and all that stuff. Well, they're all part of this community. Okay. So anyway, so just keep that in mind. This is who we're talking about. And I remember when this story came out, you see it on your screen right now, deportation threats against the African Hebrew Israelites. And there were many people who took that story and was like, man, see, these people, they're oppressing us. They're coming against us. You see what they're doing? They're coming against us, right? But I'm wondering, did these people ever take the time to really find out what was really going on in this community? So this video here is going to feature, again, it's going to be Mahalia Goodman. Like I said, she's passed away, and it's going to be a brother. And they're going to be sharing their experiences. They're going to go through I think it's like a 10-point, maybe more, signs if you are part of a cult. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. At the conclusion, I'm really not going to say anything because I got to hurry up and get ready for this evening. Again, for those that are just joining on, we will be doing our Sabbath teaching tonight at 8 p.m. over on My Bantu tonight. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and get this on, and let's go.
Hi, my name is Malaya.
Hello and shalom. My name is Yeshaya Ben Chiliah.
We're here today to share some very pertinent information with you. In our community, the African Hebrew Israelite community of Jerusalem, there's a lot of debate going on about cults. Some people feel like there is a cult here in Israel, in our community, and some people feel like it isn't. So to help clarify some things, we have some information that we want to share, and maybe this can help you understand better if you are actually involved in a cult or not. Maybe not here in this community, but anywhere in the world. We have Marcia Rudin's 14 comic characteristics of a cult. So this is the information, you decide.
Okay, I would like to mention point number 1. Members swear total allegiance to an all-powerful leader who they believe to be the Messiah. And it is a fact well known in our community and of our community that Ben-Ami, its leader, its spiritual head, has declared himself unequivocally as the Messiah.
Yes.
And there is no question that he has sought and has acquired politically, spiritually, physically, financially, and otherwise total allegiance, and does operate as an all-powerful personage at the very, very head of the community. He has no counsel, he has no opposition. He is in fact a total unilateral dictator at this point for all practical purposes.
Correct. That's very true. And he's written books to prove it. Okay, so number 2, rational thought is discouraged or forbidden. This is very, very true. One of the first things that you are taught once you come into the community as a member is sit down, shut up, and listen, because you don't know nothing. You know, if you're not reading the materials that Ben-Ami put forth, if you're not studying them and you cannot spout the material verbatim, then this is discouraged, and anything outside of that doctrine is frowned upon. People attending college and attending higher institutions of learning are often referred to as educated fools. So even the adults are taught immediately that this is the law and you obey it, and anything else is vehemently frowned upon.
And labeled as a deception.
That's true.
Right. So number 3 of the cult characteristics, the cult's recruitment techniques are often deceptive.
That's true.
Well, I have to admit that the recruitment techniques are clothed in a great deal of highly spiritual language, and the term culture has been used and used and used. We were told to dress in our culture,
Right.
which represented something higher and something high, holy, and sacred, and that anyone who did not dress like that was simply out of ignorance, or that they were part of the deceivers or the deceived. So definitely in that sense, the cult's recruitment techniques, which tell you that everyone else in the world is wrong, off, ignorant, etc., and you are about to enter the promised land and the only real holy community that exists.
More really, you're entering the spin zone.
Okay.
Okay, number 4. The cult weakens the follower psychologically by making him or her depend upon the group to solve his or her problems. Don't go to your doctor. What are you doing going to that hospital? Don't go to a psychiatrist. We're going to give you a God mind. We are cleansing your mind of all of the foolishness that the world has taught you. Depend on us to solve all of your problems. You have a problem with your husband? Come, let us solve that problem. You having a problem with your wife? Okay, you can have 7 wives. So you don't have to listen to the one wife that's giving you the problems. We can solve all of your problems. So come and join our community, because we are the example for the whole world to follow. If this sounds familiar to you, you might want to open your eyes.
Okay, I think that point is well made. Point number 5 of the 14 common characteristics of a cult. The cult manipulates guilt to their advantage.
Yes, yes, yes.
You find yourself up against any number of what I call guidelines that tell you what is appropriate about your dress and inappropriate about your dress. Tell you what is inappropriate about your speech, about your manner, about the way you think, about the way you make decisions. All of those things are scrutinized frequently. There are days when you should eat salt and there are no salt days. There are days when you should eat sugar and there are sugarless days. And if you happen to eat sugar on a sugarless day, you can bet you're going to get the guilties. If you happen to eat salt on a no salt day, you can bet you're going to get the guilties.
It's true.
So a great deal of that goes on. The cults definitely manipulate guilt to their advantage and to the advantage of the members of the cult or society or community.
That's true. Okay, now we have number 6. The cult leader makes all the career and life decisions of the members. Here, it cannot be stressed enough that cult leaders are generally dictators. They make every decision for you concerning your life, your husband's life, your child's life, your grandchildren's life. What we experienced was the spiritual leader of the community was so dictatorial that he even dictated what kind of underwear a man or woman should wear. He dictated who could get married, who could not. Every aspect of your life totally comes under his dominion. You want to travel? If someone is telling you when you can travel, when you cannot travel, where you can go, if you can work, if you cannot work, what is the name of your child? Whether the youth can have a party or not, every aspect of your life is under strict control from one person, and that person's word is irrefutable. If you are in a group where there is a spiritual leader and only his discernment is the law of the community, beware. Please beware. Okay, enough said on that.
Okay, characteristic number 7. Cults exist only for their own material survival and make false promises to work to improve society. That's 2 parts, and let me speak to the first part. Cults exist only for their own material survival. The community of which we have spoken definitely is an isolationist kind of community, and has not taken advantage of the many services that the larger community has offered, except under duress, and when things have gotten to a point where those services have become almost a matter of life and death. That's an isolationist mentality that the community was begun with, that it is now attempting to grow out of. But of course, the unilateral leadership and its very egomaniacal desire to control every aspect of all thinking would like to hamper that process of somebody beginning to think for themselves. Second of all, the idea that, first of all, the community knows what's best for society. The community knows what's wrong with society. The community is protecting you from society. And yet, at the same time, the community rarely serves society.
That's true.
There are no charities set up. There is no relationship to charitable activities that the community can brag about and say, well, we have financed this situation. We donated when the tsunami struck.
Right.
We helped out the people that were hit by the last great storm we had in the those kinds of things are not pursued. Only the greater society is only that place where you don't need to be involved in. You need to be right here inside of our little community.
That's very true, Yeshaya. Okay, so we come to number 8, which is cult members often work full-time for the group for little or no pay. Oh my, where do I start? Okay, first of all, you work tirelessly day and night, and this is a tactic that's used in these particular cults to keep your mind preoccupied. If you're working and you're working hard, you're so tired at the end of the day, you don't have the energy to go out and do any more investigation and anything else. Your mind is kept busy, and you're definitely not going to be paid for anything, and you're feeling too guilty because that's what he just said. Everything is induced by guilt. You're kept busy and you're not going to complain. You're not going to be paid, and you don't want to ask because you feel like, oh well, you know, I'm saving the world. I'm so busy saving the world that my children don't have shoes. I'm so busy saving the world that my family doesn't have enough to eat, and I'm not worried about housing because at the end of all of this, the windows of the world are going to open up and blessings are going to shower down upon me, and I'm a good and a holy person. No, I'll get all of my blessings in the by and by. Does that sound familiar? Because in a lot of these religions, you're taught to postpone your good. Your good will come later, after you're dead or in heaven. You just stay busy. You just continue to work. Never mind the retirement and the 401k. Never mind, because those things aren't important. But what happens when you get old? You have nothing to show for all of that hard work. You don't know where all of those donations went. You don't know where all of the money went. The only thing you know is you came and you worked very, very diligently, sacrificed everything for your family, and you have very little or nothing to show for it. Now, basically, we're going to stop here at number 8 because our time is running out. We're going to come back to you with the last 6 points for Marcia Rubin's 14 common characteristics of a cult. So stay tuned.
Shalom again. And we are back. And our subject matter today is cults. Cult-like characteristics and cult-like behavior. And we'd like to mention again that this is a very profound subject in the particular country we're in, Israel. And in Israel today, we have been informed that there are 108 cults that have been identified at this point. So these characteristics and these behaviors, you need to pay attention to them. You might find yourself in a cult, or you may be in one and not know it.
Or have a family member.
Okay, I want to make this ninth point, and this is very serious. Cult members are isolated from the outside world and any reality testing it could provide. I want to say this about isolation. It doesn't limit itself, or it's not limited to simply physical isolation. The isolation of ideas and the isolation that can be created by allowing one to take your mind and cause you to judge everything that everyone else does that doesn't do what you do. And you are being convinced that anyone who doesn't do and follow what you do and believe is negative, bad, deceptive, the devil, however you want to characterize them. That is also an isolation effect. And I wanted to point out that the psychological processes of guilt creation, which we've already discussed, are all fear-based. Those psychological processes where we are made as members to feel guilty about what we do and do not do, do and do not wear. These are fear-based types of teachings and thought processes that the leadership utilizes, knowing that it is the fear that allows them to manipulate others, that allows them to cause others to be isolated in their thinking, be isolated in their activities, out of fear and out of guilt. So if fear and guilt are a large part of what's going on wherever you are number one, isolated, and number two, very probably being involved in some cult-like behavior characteristics.
This is true. Okay. Okay, now point number 10 is cults are anti-woman, anti-child, and anti-family. Now that's saying a lot, and I could talk about this all day long. First, I'd just like to say that any particular organization, religion, dogma that separates you from your biological family is inherently wrong. And that's a strong word to say wrong, but the only time you should be separated from your biological family is if your life is in danger, or that family is dysfunctional, and the social system that's been set up for you and the legal systems that's been set up for you has determined that that is a totally dysfunctional family. Outside of that, anyone that's coming to you and telling you that your mother is evil or wicked, your father is evil or wicked, and you should separate yourself from them and go live in a separate type of society, all of the bells and whistles and alarms should go off in your head. Because
or that your children are evil or wicked.
Yes, this is inherently wrong. This is your biological family, a unit that is supposed to be the most trusted and cherished unit in your life. Okay, so your biological family is our family members that are generally going to look out for your welfare, going to try to protect you at all costs. So that some bells and whistles should go off if someone is trying to separate you from your siblings, your parents. That's number one. Anti-woman goes without saying, because in many of these religious communities, they use the scriptures, and it could be the Quran, it could be anything, it could be the Bible, it could be any type, New Age, it doesn't matter. If someone is telling you that a woman is less than a man, and it is a woman's duty to serve her man, and a woman is relegated as a second-class citizen within that community and has less rights, it is inherently wrong. A woman should not have to stand behind her man, subjugate herself, cover her face, or anything like this to prove her righteousness, or to prove herself as a worthy citizen in that community or even outside the community. Anti-children, It said anti-children.
Yes, anti-child.
Anti-child goes right along with that. The community that we were in preached that the order of righteousness and the way that God came down was through the man, the woman, and the child. This is deceptively incorrect.
And it was called the preferred order.
This is deceptively incorrect because even a child can teach you something. You might have a child that is intelligent and has enough common sense to teach its parents some things. So this is something that you can take note of, that God lives and dwells in everything, and while the child is there to be raised and to be taught, that they should be respected as equally as a woman or a man in society, protected and cherished and loved equally. And no one is less than anyone else in the community. And anti-family, if someone is coming to you to tell you that your husband should have more than one wife, to break down the woman because the woman is the woman is Eve and she's sinful or wicked, and the man is the king and paramount, and or they're taking your child away from you and expelling them from the community. This is inherently wrong. And even in many of the Holy Scriptures throughout the great religions, there's nothing in those religions that teach you to take your child and throw them out in the street. And they take these scriptures and they like to interpret them in the way that is the most beneficial to them, from tithing all the way down to everything else.
I think I could sum it up by saying that cults are anti-woman, anti-child, and anti-family, and that is simply dehumanization.
Yes, exactly.
The 11th, thank you. The 11th cult characteristic that we want to watch out for. Cults are apocalyptic and believe themselves to be the remnant who will survive the soon approaching end of the world.
Oh boy.
The doomsday philosophy. Mm-hmm. The end of the world is coming, and only we are going to be saved. Everybody else is doomed.
Right.
And that's what it is meant by apocalyptic. The apocalypse, as described in the Old Testament and Revelation in the Bible, goes into all of these terrible things that are going to happen in the end times. And we know that right now, this is December, I believe, the 11th. And that makes us 10 days away from the apocalyptic date of 12/21/12. But we are betting with the new ages and the new energy that says that the only thing that's going to happen on the 12th, on the 21st of this December, this 12th month of the year, is that more infusion of the Creator's energy is going to pour into this earth, and it is here for all of us to utilize. So if we're in a fear-based or if we're in a guilt-based process and system, we got to be careful because it could be a cult.
Number 12. Many cults follow, and what is that?
An end justifies the means philosophy.
Okay, so basically the rationale is if we take your wife and beat her, or if we steal, or if we lie, or whatever it is that we do, it justifies what we're doing because the ends justify the means.
It's a result-based philosophy. As long as the results are what we want, it doesn't matter how we reach those results.
So have as many children as you can, because we keep those checks rolling in. And it's okay for you to commit a crime because we're the saviors of the world. Your parents don't listen to them because, take your mother's credit card or whatever it is that you need to do, because what we're doing is more important in saving the world, and nothing else really matters. So the ends definitely justify the means.
Right. We are divine, blessed, and wise, and everyone else is ignorant, uninformed, and wicked. So when you begin to hear people around you or anyone in what you consider leadership speak to you that way, be careful. This next point, number 13, it says that cults, particularly in regard to their finances, are shrouded in secrecy. Have we had a financial report lately from the community that we're talking about?
Complete non-transparency.
I think the word is opaqueness. Opaqueness. However, it's a bit humorous, but it's not funny that that same person who has taken the hat as spiritual head, and has taken the hat as divine entertainment head, and has taken the hat as political head, and appoints all other forms of leadership, is also over and in charge of, and the last word on all matters financial. And in the meantime, his primary financial focus is on your finances, which he loves to bring into his coffers in the form of what he calls tithes, though tithe represents tenth. And I was told by one of his co-leaders that it could be a 25th or a 35th or a 45th or whatever the leader decided he needed to have. And so I said, well, just don't misuse the term tithe, because tithe means tenth. Of course, they told me I was an educated fool for even saying something like that.
Okay, so following the money trail often leads into an abyss. You can forget about trying to find out where all of those donations went and all of the money went, because generally it'll be in some Swiss bank account.
It's worse than the fiscal cliff, I can tell you that.
Okay, now here we are.
I think you're at number 14.
Number 14, the last characteristic is there is frequently an aura of potential for violence around cults. Now, I can't say that I personally experienced any of that, but I do know firsthand that there was a lot of chastisement. There was a lot of beatings and punishments that were justified, and by saying that this person was disobedient, and they needed to set an example of this person.
It was called correction, wasn't it?
Yeah. So if you found yourself in a situation where you're being punished, and you're being punished without knowing exactly why you're being punished, you don't have a jury of your peers, there is no tribunal, there is no system set up within in your community for you to be able to speak.
No due process.
Exactly. Where there's no due process, you might very well be in a cult. So I hope that these characteristics have helped you to determine if you're in a cult or not. There are thousands and thousands of cults out there. So please make it your business to be aware.
The more knowledge that you have, the more protection you'll be able to provide yourself from cult-like characteristics and cult-like behavior. Thank you for joining us.
And remember, even a smart person can be indoctrinated and brainwashed. Everybody, peace out.
All right, family. So yeah, that's it with that video there. Just to recap again, the sister, her name is Mahalia Goodman, and she and this gentleman, I didn't catch his name. They were former members of the Dimona community over in Israel. When my wife and I, when we, like on this journey, we, saw ourselves as Hebrews, that community was regarded pretty high all throughout, the Hebrew space, so to speak. Because this group of people were seen as people who've made it. They're in the promised land, so to speak. They're in the real Israel. and she has a very raw, in-depth testimony that she has provided, and she's actually written about it in her book. And she talks about, like she had mentioned, like the beatings that take place over there, the child abuse. There's literally it's insane the amount of things that were going on over there. And fortunately, she's one, along with some others as well. These are people who made it out. They got out of it, sometimes with just the clothes on their back. And so, like I was saying, as you're listening to this, hopefully you made it to the end here. You want to keep in mind, it's not, even though I have Dimona in the title, because that's what they're talking about, those 14 points that they provided can be applied to pretty much, not just in the Hebrew space, but also for those who are still in churches, because a lot of stuff that they were saying, I've seen in churches as well, so the other point I want to make sure that's very clear is that this, you don't see, to be honest, to be completely honest, this is not to say that all Hebrew assemblies fall within this. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's suggesting that. Okay, just to be ultra clear here. But what we are saying is it is seen and it's not talked about enough. Okay, because there are many people who are locked in, who are in some of these assemblies out here, and quite honestly, they're imprisoned and they feel afraid to even say anything on what they're seeing because, again, of the penalties that come along with that. This is just facts, family. I tell you, I get emails. We know people. This is just an everyday thing. And we have to make sure that we're doing our part to make sure that the table is clear enough so that people who are going through these things, not only are so much we're talking about it, but it's being exposed so that it's not being perpetuated. And like I said, this particular community, this Dimona community, because I remember, I can't think of the NBA player. He went over there and he was very moved and touched by what he saw. He was confirmed. He confirmed in his heart and his spirit or whatever that he was a Hebrew. But it's like, okay, but did you know about all this other stuff that was going on? And there's a lot of stuff that was going on. The leader and his leadership team, they were actually working hand in hand together with the Israeli police and going after their own members. I'm just telling you this is the other side of it. You know what I'm saying? This is the other side of it. Now, they mentioned about the, I believe it was the gentleman, he has said that if you're part of something where they believe or teach that they are the only ones that are going to make it in the end, it's probably a cult. Let's put that more in context a little bit. What he's saying there is, again, they're coming from their perspective. They're talking about their specific community. They're not saying in general, you know what I mean? In other words, as a person or persons that where we believe that in the end, there will be a remnant. You know what I'm saying? There will be a remnant that will be left in the end. But what's happening is you have different Hebrew groups or assemblies that actually teach that they are the only ones that are going to make it in the end. That's what he's talking about. Okay. And so that's what they were teaching out there in Dimona. And I guess I would assume that's what they still teach as well. And so so I just wanted to share this video with you guys, so that because there are many people out here who are trapped in these different situations, and it's a horrible experience. And like I said, again, don't just think in terms of a Hebrew or Hebrew ministry or whatever. Don't think in those terms, because most, if not all of what they said is just as applicable to a lot of churches that are out here as well. You have a lot of churches that fall right in line with this. There are some cases where my wife and I, we had to run. We had to get out of that church. We've had church people drop us like, I don't know what, simply because we disagreed, or we just, we didn't go along with what the pastor said, or whatever. There were suspicions, or we didn't show up for an important meeting, and we're not friends with this person or that person, or we didn't kiss this elders behind and all this other stuff, So there, it's just as applicable to a lot of people who are still in the churches. So don't limit what they said just to Hebrew stuff, because it's applicable to that as well. So anyway, we could definitely go on and have a longer discussion on this, but I wanted to upload this and I wanted our people to check this out and see this because I just felt, man, this is too important to just let it sit there, And like I said, again, for my own experience, I've seen this Dimona community being big. I mean, people have been promoting them like, like they're it, this is the promised land, man. They're doing it, and not realizing that there's more to the story. You know what I'm saying? So that's, hopefully you get a little bit more info in this. And, if this is you, make sure you see this as confirmation that you need to get up out of there. Don't talk, don't think about it. Okay, well, I gotta, let me figure it out. And maybe it's just me and all this stuff. I'm telling you right now, there's some very strange and weird things out there that I've seen. And we're living in a time right now where if you don't make that decision and get up out of there, you may not come out of there alive. I'm just being for real. You know what I mean? Think about that dear sister Joy over in the UK. Was her name Joy? Yeah, it was Joy. I can't think of her last name. Murdered. And there's some other stories too I haven't talked about where other people under this umbrella have been murdered. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we like to put distance between us and them and say, oh, that's just them. Joy Morgan, that was her name. We like to say, oh, that's them. They're just taking it to an extreme level. No, this happens quite a bit. And the other thing is the prone to violence part. When you see people yelling and screaming and stuff all the time, that's not just, some of these people ain't just being excited. Some of these folk are troubled in their mind. And we try to rationalize that. We're going to be talking about that very, very soon. Mental illness, mental help that our people need. We're going to be getting into that. All right. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Hope you guys got something out of this. Please share this with those that you think it will be a help to them. And yeah, that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. And in about 20 or so minutes, I will be going live once again over on my BondTube, and we'll be doing our Samba teaching over there for this evening. You are more than welcome to join us. You guys take care, and we'll be talking again soon. Love you guys. Take care.